Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's have a little chat about one of the best bikes that I've ridden that might be suffering from just a little bit of an identity crisis. Let me explain. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the studio. Obviously guys, if you do like this kind of stuff, the reviews, the race stuff, all that kind of thing, make sure you do subscribe to the channel and like this video. It's free. It's cheaper than a state open. No, I won't go into that. Alright, so today guys is pretty much a product review. Today's is well, it's one I'm actually really excited about. It's the Bianchi XR3 rim brake. And the reason I'm excited about this vlog is, well, I've actually ridden this bike a lot, so I've got some really cement ideas about, well, how it performs. And the other thing is, it's got some pretty individual characteristics, which I'm really quite excited to tell you guys about. Straight off the bat, guys, I just have to stress how good looking a bike this is. It's really hard to get this across in a lot of the images that I've shot, but I have to stress it's a really beautiful looking bike, and that matters because, well, people who are looking at Bianchi, clearly aesthetic matters, and this is quite special. I'm not a car person, so I'd sort of maybe describe it a little bit like some of the fashion designers. Whilst your XR4s and those kind of, Celeste models look more like a classic Italian line, like a Gucci, a Fendi, something like that. This has a little bit more of an edge to it, maybe like a Dolce & Gabbana, not an Italian designer like an Alexander McQueen. It's a bit more edgy, it's a bit more out there, but I tell you what, you're gonna get some cafe froth from this thing. So a couple of things you need to know about sort of where this frame sits. So it's an XR3, it sits just in below the XR4. The XR4 being the bike that we race on, the one that Primoz Roglic is currently smashing around Spain. It's still very much an aero frame but a very different geometry to the XR4. In fact, it actually shares a lot more similarities to an XR1 and an XR2. However, there is one major difference to this XR3, and that is Countervail. So this is the cheapest aero Bianchi frame that you can get that will contain that Countervail technology. I'm not going to go into some long thing about whether Countervail is a legit thing or not. I've said that in the past. In short, I believe it is. I honestly do believe it does change the ride quality of the bike for the positive. Quick look at this frame, guys, and you can pretty much tell straight away it is an aero bike. The seat tube, the head tube, the down tube all really have those kind of pronounced aero features. Couple that with the integrated seat post, with that sort of little integrated bolt for the seat post, and again, a lot of aero features, integrated cables all the way through. Aero stuff, right? What is interesting, however, is the back end of the bike. So the chainstays are quite wide, giving you a little bit of tire clearance, which is always nice, but also what it seems to have done is stiffen up that back end, actually making it feel a little bit more like a road bike back there rather than a full out aero bike. My build, mostly Ultegra build, ended up coming in around 7.6 kilos, about 300 grams heavier than the XR4. You could quite easily go ahead and spec this out, put some super nice carbon wheels on it, and you'd be getting it around that 7 kilo mark without a problem. The funny thing is about this bike, I honestly think the name XR3 does this bike a massive disservice. You automatically think, oh, okay, so it's one notch down from the XR4, but that's really not what this bike is at all. It doesn't compare at all to the XR4. It has a longer wheelbase. Its tubing is completely different. It has a shorter head tube. So the way, for example, that plays out on the road, the longer wheelbase makes it great for sort of smoothing out long days, fantastic smooth rides. The tubing's different. The back end of this bike is laterally stiff as hell, so you could pretty much say this is a sprinter's bike. And then at the front end, well, it's got a lower head tube, so it can put you in a more aggressive position, but with a smoothed out ride. So that longer wheelbase obviously is there to try and smooth the ride out, but I do find like on steeper climbs, I have to be really careful to make sure I can keep the power down over that rear wheel, because obviously, well, the wheel's further back, so you have to you have to actually make sure you've got the power down over it. We're really used to, in the bike industry, having the kind of the next rung down version simply being the next rung down version with like the cheaper carbon, the more plasticky components. I know sort of Giant do that kind of thing with their stuff. The component manufacturers do it on a price-based thing. You're just sort of stepping down through what is effectively a price situation. This is not that. This is the same carbon that is in the top level bikes. It's just put together differently for a different rider, and I really think that's an important sort of thing to get hold of. So who is this bike for? Well, I actually think it's for a lot of people. It might be easier to actually ask who this bike isn't for. Well, I can tell you, it's not for the weight weenie. You're not going to try and get this bike under sort of 6 kilos. That ain't happening. And the other thing is, it's not for the pure aero enthusiast. There are more aerodynamic bikes out there. If you want to go full aero, this is not the bike for you. It is for everyone else though. And in the Bianchi world, I'd actually put it this way. If you are considering the Specialismo, you like that road bike look, but you can't afford that price tag, I think this is where you head. For the XR4 frothers, I don't think this is the step down from the XR4 that, well, its name suggests it is. I personally think something like the Aero is where you should be headed if the XR4 is just out of your reach. So price, this is not a cheap bike. Look, there's about 1,000 trillion different build options of this bike. It must be a punish for shops. But as a general rule, in Australia, this is kind of going around $7,000–8,000. So it puts it in that kind of high end, not pure absolute top end road bike, but high end road bike up against a lot of the sort of Cervelo, Focus, that kind of area. And look, I think it compares really well to them. Performance-wise, compares very well. Obviously, with Bianchi, we've said this in the past, that, you know, there is something to that for a lot of people. The countervail aspect is definitely something that plays a role for many people, and it should be worth considering. So the question I have been avoiding is the XR3 disc. I rode that for a long time. I've done a review of it. You can check it out up here. This is a better bike. Yeah, look, I'll just say it. Look, I very much feel that this is the bike that Bianchi made. They built this bike. They built this really beautiful frame with Countervail technology in different areas and made a really lovely aero road bike. And then they went and slapped some discs on it, and it totally changed the ride. My gut feeling is most of that is down to the through axles. I very much feel that the through axles on that disc bike just stiffened up the front end way too much. And now that you have really quite a low and aggressive setup, which you can really make most of with this rim brake version, it kind of goes too far on the disc brake version. This XR3 rim brake, it's a supreme being. I think that's pretty much everything covered, guys. Please do pop some questions below. Like I said in the very beginning, I've put some good solid miles into this bike, and I'm really keen to have a conversation with you guys about the bike. I should also mention my t-shirt. A big thanks to Izzy, the mechanic who helped us out in Malaysia. He sent this down to me after he saw my crash and said, "Get well soon, Chris." That obviously means now everybody has got to send me a t-shirt every time I crash. That'll be like 12 t-shirts a year. But anyway, please do subscribe to the channel, guys, and like this video. Thanks again so much for watching. Put your comments below, and we will see you guys very soon.
I had the camera on when it didn't attach.
Kevin Donovan, come on, representing Campolina. Kevin Donovan.
Click here to watch a video. Click down here to watch a product review. Click this button to subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all the notifications when we upload.
You are a pro. Well done.